What's going on, guys, and welcome back to another video, and welcome to your stimulus update and daily news report for Thursday, May 12th. So we have a lot that we need to get to. Yesterday I did go into a little bit of the details regarding why we have a diesel shortage and the issues that we're potentially going to face on that. So that was a very specific video. Today I want to cover a more broad topics and explain what's going on, not just today but also yesterday. So here's what we're going to cover today. Today we have a bunch of very important updates that we need to go over. The first one is that the Biden administration has now canceled the Alaska oil and gas lease sale. Now this was going to be big because this was potentially going to bring more gas into the U.S. or well, it's already in the U.S., but more gas to the consumers, and this would bring gas prices down. Well, they canceled this, so that's not looking likely. The next thing is Americans are understanding that prices are not likely to come down as quickly as they were expecting. So I actually want to share with you what many are planning to do and how they're going to cut back on spending and just kind of see where you fall and where other people are currently at. We also know yesterday the Senate was not able to advance the Women's Health Protection Act, which means that abortion rights won't be codified into the federal law. We also know that the U.S. has sent so many missiles to Ukraine that some are worried that we are depleting our own stockpile. And that's not good news, because if we were to go into war for whatever reason, we are somewhat depleted. And as of today, not great news, more sad news, but the Biden administration stated that the U.S. has now seen more than 1 million deaths due to COVID. That's what we know at this time. So let's get into what is actually happening. First, before I get into what's going on and the list of things that I just mentioned, I first just want to say that a lot of people are asking where their stimulus checks are at. And I want to be 100% clear on this. And I've been saying this for probably 10 months, maybe almost a year, is that right now there is no talks of federal stimulus checks. None. Zero. There's nothing coming from the federal government as far as a stimulus check. And I've been saying this for quite some time because the writing's been on the wall that we do not have the support. We don't have more than 50 lawmakers that support sending out a stimulus check, not with inflation being so high. Yesterday, the report came in from the CPI stating that our inflation rate is 8.3%. We do not have the support in Congress to get another stimulus check passed. The checks that are being sent out, that are coming to people, are from specific states. This is something that I'm going to go over this weekend. I already have plans to just go over the entire list of states that are sending out money, talk about guaranteed income programs, specific tax rebates that are coming back, and things like that. So if you want to know more about stimulus checks, make sure you go and subscribe to this channel, and also come back in a couple of days because I will address that. So let's get into the update for today, because this is what I really want to discuss. Here's what's happening. The Biden administration is canceling the Alaska oil and gas lease sale in the Cook Inlet in Alaska. Now, this sale was for over 1 million acres. That's a lot of land. 1 million acres of potential drilling. That could bring a good amount of oil. Well, the Biden administration made a political promise, and President Biden said that he would do whatever he could to slow down global warming. As a result, he wants to slow down drilling on federal land. That's exactly what's happening at this time. Now, the problem is that the Biden administration is also facing the rising gas prices. They're surging once again. And the facts are that gas prices continue to run higher during summer months. And this isn't a good sign. So chances are the American people are going to suffer a little bit longer because of the result of higher gas prices. The only problem is there's not much being done to combat that. So over the past couple of months, there has been talks of a temporary gas tax cut. Now, I want to address what this means. Because the truth is that even if this goes into effect, it's going to do very little. More Republicans are actually open to the idea, at least as of right now, that we could potentially cut federal gas taxes. Not reduce them entirely, but just give a slight cut. Now, here's the problem. A cut would mean that it would be less than the 18.4 cents per gallon. That's the current federal gas tax. Again, think about that. You spend, was it $4.40, I believe, is the average gallon of gas here in the United States today. Well, if it's $4.40 and you save, let's say 10 cents, it goes down to $4.30, that's pretty much what gas prices were a week ago. So that's the issue, is that even a federal gas tax reduction is not going to be so substantial that the American people are even going to feel the benefits of it. So what's really the purpose? That's kind of what people are saying at this time. So gas prices are going to be a major concern. They will be even more concerning moving into the summer, but just keep in mind, I will be here every step of the way. Now, let's talk about where consumers are going to stop spending money if higher prices continue. And I want to show you this graph. Look at this. So here's what I can tell you. First off, 52% of people say they will cut back on dining out. This is something that I've been saying for quite some time, is if you constantly eat out, consider making more meals at home, preparing some meals, sandwiches, whatever it is, to save a little bit of money. Even if you eat out 7 days a week, or let's say 3 days a week, cut it down to just one. If you eat out 7 days a week, cut it down to like 3. Okay? Just cut it back a little bit. Some say they're going to cut back on driving. This is a tough thing because if you are constantly driving to go to work, it makes it difficult to cut back because you have to go to work or take your children to school or to after school activities or things like that. You have to drive in most cases. What's happening here when people are cutting back, and we saw this a lot in the 90s, is people would actually carpool. And even in bigger cities, we still see a lot of people that carpool. So that's a great option. A lot of people are canceling a trip or a vacation. What's happening right now is people have planned for a vacation. They haven't actually purchased the vacation. This is different. When you plan for a vacation, it's like, okay, I'm going to take my family to Disneyland on this weekend in the summer. And you plan for it, but you do not purchase the flight. You do not purchase a hotel. Do not purchase, tickets, right? So if you don't purchase anything, the problem is prices keep going up. But if you already purchased a trip to Hawaii or to Disneyland or to the Bahamas, that is, in most cases is fine. But when other prices are more expensive, when food and gas and everything's more expensive, some people would rather cancel their trip so that they can take that money to help pay for the things that they currently need. So again, that's just one of the things that is happening. Another one, canceling a monthly subscription. I said this before, I've said it many times. If you don't need Netflix and Hulu and HBO and Disney Plus, cancel them. Get rid of them. If you don't need a gym membership because you only use it twice a month, get rid of it. You don't need it, right? Just get out of that. Switch to a generic product. This is something that I have done a lot lately, is I've switched to generic products because in most cases, they're the exact same product. They just don't have the big brand behind it. That's fine with me. I don't care if it says Tide on the bottle. Okay, I don't care if it's Dove soap or whatever. Okay, I get the stuff that I like. That's just me. Delaying in buying a car, it's probably a good move because prices are coming down. Delay buying a home, that's a probably great idea because prices are so high and rates are going up even higher, even though they've come down a little bit. They're still so high that it actually reduces your buying power, so delaying buying a home is probably a good option at this time. Borrowing money or take out credit card debt to cover expenses. This is not something, there you go, to take out expenses. This is not something that I'd recommend, is to use credit card or any debt to cover expenses. This is really for emergencies, and if it is an emergency, probably go ahead and do that. And skip paying my bills. that is probably one of the worst things you can do, is just skip paying your bills, because the bills keep adding up. You will have to pay for it eventually. So this is what consumers are doing at this time to try to reduce their expenses. But just understand, some of these things are not the best move. So just keep that in mind. Your situation is obviously different than everyone else's. So consider your specific situation when you're moving forward. Now, let's talk about the Senate and what they did yesterday, because here's what happened yesterday. Yesterday, the Senate actually failed to advance the abortion rights bill into federal law. Now, this was due to the GOP voting against it. Everybody in the GOP. They voted against it, but so did Senator Joe Manchin. Now, what you need to keep in mind is that this isn't over. There are still going to be discussions as to how can they get this done. How can they get this passed? Well, here's what we know. There actually are a handful of Republicans that would like to strike a deal. But the problem is that the vote happened so quickly, negotiations could not even take place. So according to multiple sources, another vote is eventually going to happen, but it could take another 2 to 3 weeks before they can actually come to an agreement. Again, it's not going to be an agreement with the entire Republican Party, but in the Senate, they could at least come to an agreement that, okay, we have an option to move forward, and let's kind of collaborate. Let's work on this bill together, and let's figure it out. So that's the expectation. Is yes, some Republicans will eventually vote for it, but they have to negotiate first. So that's what's happening at this time. Now here's another thing, another big story, and this is something that I've been looking into for the past month, is that if the United States keeps sending off military equipment, it's going to turn into a big issue. Well, here's what we know at this time. What's actually happening right now is that the U.S. has sent more than $3.8 billion in military aid to Ukraine. Now, a lot of this and more is going to be coming very soon, but the problem is that some officials are saying that the Biden administration keeps sending so much equipment that it's actually depleting our own stockpile. That's not great news. So, what I can tell you is that this turns into an issue, because some of the missiles that are being given away for support to Ukraine, these are hard to come by. They're not easy to make, and they will take some time. But not only that, a lot of these, all missiles require a semiconductor. Now, when you need a semiconductor, which in the United States and really globally we have a major supply shortage of, that creates issues. Well, I was doing some research and I found how much stuff we actually sent over to Ukraine. I want to show you this. So right here, we've sent so far $3.8 billion in military aid to Ukraine. It's quite a bit. We've also sent at least 7,000 Javelin anti-tank missiles, 1,400 Stinger anti-aircraft missiles to Ukraine. Now, that's pretty important to understand that just in those two, that is over, that's 8,400 missiles that we've sent to Ukraine. That's quite a bit. Well, doing more research, I found out that there is a major issue with this, because, let me show you this one right here. Right here it says, okay, and so Lockheed Martin, who produces, our missiles, they are ramping up production from the Javelin missile from 2,100 per year to 4,000 missiles. Okay, well, if that's going from 2,100 to 4,000, that's a pretty substantial, jump. But why are they doing that? Well, the reason why they're doing that is because missiles right here take about 32 months from the day they're ordered until they are delivered. That is a problem. Okay, so imagine this. We give away 7,000, Javelin anti-tank missiles, give away 1,400 anti-aircraft missiles. It's going to be difficult to replace, the 7,000 Javelin anti-tank missiles when Lockheed Martin is going to go from 2,100 per year to 4,000. So it's almost 2 years of production Well, it takes 32 months from the time of ordering the missiles to get them delivered. Just think if we were to go into a war and we needed these. Well, right now I can tell you we do have enough. We do have a substantial stockpile. I believe we only use about a third of our stockpile. Again, but it's a third. That's a decent amount. That means we have what? About 15,000 Javelin anti-tank missiles left. Well, what if we continue to give these away? Again, that's the issue. And this is what many officials are saying is we cannot keep giving away our stockpile because it's going to take time to replenish these. So again, we'll see what happens there, but that is kind of the big news this morning is, or actually yesterday and this morning, is that some White House officials are worried that we are helping too much and it's actually not doing much. So we'll see what happens there. And the last thing, and again, not the greatest news, but today marks the day that the U.S. has more than 1 million deaths due to COVID. This is a very tough day, okay? This is a very tough day because some experts say that too many Americans believe that we are completely out of the pandemic. There's nothing to worry about, we're fine. But the problem is that COVID will remain with us for many more years. It won't go away. Many countries are still fighting for their lives because of it. And right now, the U.S. is trying to get additional funding to help us move forward. The problem is Congress does not want to discuss it. They don't want to talk about the $10 billion that would go to additional COVID aid here in the U.S. So that's, again, one of the issues. We could see a surge in COVID cases coming back in the next couple of months, but right now we just don't know. So that's what we know at this time. As always, as I know more, I promise I'll come back on and share all latest news and updates. Again, just want to thank you guys for watching. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Consider subscribing, and I'll see you guys on the next one.